The pettiest of all revenge. Husband and I went to a very busy specialty grocery store over the weekend. Parking lot was busy and packed. We ended up parking at the back end of the lot. Walking into the store, we see some young woman in a BMW park, half-assedly and crooked, in the one free handicap parking spot. No plaque, and she's obviously healthy, just super entitled. I hate that crap. It drives me nuts. So I made it my mission to be in Miss BMW's way inside the store. I got in front of her with my cart and just did my level best to anticipate where she was going to try to go next and to be in that spot. She wanted to get to the berries? Well, how strange, so did I. And maybe I'd never seen berries before because I examined several packages of them very closely and only moved on when I sensed she was about to give up and go around. So I ambled along and it seemed like she was heading for the bread aisle. So I had to check out the bread and, hey, what's in this bread anyway? I better read a bunch of ingredients. She kept making all these exasperated sighs and slapping her thighs in annoyance, but somehow I didn't notice any of it. Between me and the crowds, she was stuck, and it was great. I kept it up for around 15 minutes before she was finally able to get out from behind me. She gave me the dirtiest look as she speed walked past me in her cart. I just gave her a clueless blank stare. Oh, were you behind me that whole time? Lol. It added a good 20 minutes to my own shopping trip, but it was worth every second of it. The dirty look she gave me will give me the grins for weeks from now. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Storytime with Uncle Jon. Today we're looking at the pettiest of petty revenge. I'm not sure I would have ever thought to do that, but if Miss BMW is going to inconvenience somebody who really could use that handicap parking spot, then screw it. Why not make her day last a little bit longer than it needed to, or her shopping trip at least. She'll never understand why, and even if you stopped and explained it to her, she still wouldn't understand, because she's probably one of those special people who just only thinks about themselves, so... Normally, I'm not one to get involved and, play handicap spot police and all that stuff, but, there is a time and a place, and this one seemed to work out just right. I tricked my slacking friend into getting me a 10 out of 10 for a school project. High school friend and I were just reminiscing about this, and since my train is delayed, I thought I'd share. Back in school, him and I were assigned to work on a geography project about plate tectonics. Friend hated geography and had a sour relationship with the teacher. I, on the other hand, was quite good at the subject and even liked it. I suppose that's why friend chose me as his project partner. After a few days, I noticed he hadn't done any work on the project whatsoever. When I confronted him, he basically said, "Look, I have no intention of doing anything for this project. Please just get me a good grade. I would only hold your grade back otherwise anyway." Of course, I was annoyed, and I informed him this plan wouldn't work. I've always been quite good at writing, at least in our native language, and I had a very distinctive writing style even as a teen, so if I did everything myself, the teacher would notice. Friend didn't take this warning seriously and basically brushed me off to go do the entire project myself. This is where the revenge started. I looked ahead in the school agenda and noticed that we had a big economics project coming up, at least 3 times bigger and more important than the geography one. I despised economics and sucked so hard at it, not least because it involved very little writing. The friend, however, excelled at it. Economics was his best subject by far. We were part of an 8-person friend group, though friend was my best friend, so I informed the other 6 of my plans and convinced them to form pairs so that the friend would basically be stuck with me. The day we got the economics assignment, friend seemed a little annoyed to have someone as incapable at economics as me as his partner. A few hours later, it was time for geography class. I had turned in our project the weekend before. As I predicted, the teacher called me out of the classroom to discuss the project. Friend seemed terrified. Turns out we'd gotten an 8.5 out of 10, not bad for one person doing a 2-person job. The teacher voiced his suspicions that I had done all the work because he recognized my writing style. He gave me the opportunity to rat friend out and leave him with a 1 out of 10. I looked my teacher dead in the eyes and said, "You've got it all wrong, sir. Friend was a huge help throughout the entire thing." We just agreed that I would put everything on paper to keep the writing consistent. I can be a bit of a control freak when it comes to language. The teacher then called the friend over and asked him if what I said was true. Friend seemed both surprised and remorseful, but he backed up my story, and so we both got the high grade. After class, friend literally hugged me and thanked me profusely for being such an awesome friend. I wasn't mad anymore, but I wasn't about to let him get away with it either. So I said to him, "Easy there, bro. You royally screwed me over with this. The least you could do to repay me is to make sure we both get at least an 8.5 out of 10 on that economics project. Because just in case you hadn't picked up on it yet, I have zero intention of doing anything for that assignment. I'll leave it in your capable hands. I would only hold you back anyway. Friend looked at me for a second and then started laughing. He apologized for his behavior and did the entire economics project, which was so much more work, while I just sat at home living my best teen life. And he delivered. He got us a perfect 10 out of 10, which actually elevated my score to a passing grade. There's not really a villain in this story if you ask me, but some lessons were learned either way. We had a great friendship, and I'm glad we have situations like these to laugh about now. I never got paired up with a friend to do any group projects. Of course, I didn't hang around high school long enough to actually do many projects. Even before I actually officially quit school, I really didn't do much work. Go figure. Wasn't really cut out to be a student. Once I became an adult, I loved going back to school. Going to, the local community college, taking all kinds of classes. Some even the ones that I hated when I was in school. The English classes and the science classes and whatever. I don't know. I guess it just took me a little longer to mature. But anyway, when it came to the group projects in the regular college classes, and these were graded classes. They weren't just like, continuing ed type stuff. When it came to those group projects, there was always at least one or two people. Like if it was a 6-person project, six-person team, there was always at least one, usually two, that just wouldn't participate. They'd never come right out and say it, but let's face it, they had no intention of doing anything because they didn't do anything in class. They never raised their hands. They never turned in, if we had a pop quiz, they never even did the pop quizzes. It was just so weird and surreal. And then they would wonder why, when we're getting up to do our presentations for this, each person had to take turns on the presentation on their part of the project, and they wondered why they got zeros and we all got perfect scores, because they obviously didn't do anything and didn't deserve a score, at least nothing above a 0. Sometimes people suck. Showing off nice jewelry to mother-in-law. This isn't anything super cool or crazy, very minor, but the joy it brought me is immeasurable. My husband's mom is not a good person. I'm someone who always finds good in people no matter how bad, and I make too many excuses for poor behavior. For years and years I did this with her, until I finally accepted she's just a rotten person to her core. She often acts like a jealous ex-girlfriend with me, and has been a very abusive mom to my husband in his childhood and adult life. A recent Christmas, she demanded my husband send her $200 for a Christmas gift. He refused this time for the first time and told her he didn't have the money and couldn't. He had recently got me a wedding ring upgrade. He gave me a diamond bracelet for Christmas that year. I soaked them both in dish liquid, which helps the shine, and cleaned them extremely well right before she was set to arrive for Christmas Eve, so they would sparkle enough to blind her. When she did arrive, as I suspected, she noticed as I dangled that hand around her face frequently, and she asked about both. I gave her a better look and gushed about both, saying, "Husband got them for me, aren't they beautiful? He couldn't wait to give me the bracelet for Christmas. It's okay though, I still have tons of gifts from him under the tree to open Christmas. You raised an amazing son, he spoils me so much." I'm not sure I've ever seen that much anger in her eyes. I'm not generally one to be mean to people, but, if you're going to be a bee, then you're going to have to learn how to take what comes with that. There's always going to be cause and effect, If you're nice, generally speaking, people are going to be nice back to you, or at least cordial and, keep all their inside thoughts inside. If you keep being a nasty, worthless human being, then eventually those inside voices just tend to somehow work their way out. And then you get to find out exactly what they think of you. Merry Christmas. Spent a year being boss's minion, then publicly showed him up in a meeting. This story happened about 7 years ago and ironically wasn't even intentional. Here's the background. I reported to my first ever unit in the Army Reserves 8 years ago. I was a newly minted lieutenant, and if I was any greener, I could have engaged in photosynthesis. That threw me a little bit. To my dismay, it turned out my boss knew nothing about the MOS our very small unit specialized in, and he didn't particularly care to either. Being the brand new LT I had no clue what I was doing and ended up being his little minion while I attempted to carry out and enforce his directives. This meant I spent most drills exasperatedly trying to convince a bunch of seasoned soldiers why they should do a bunch of inane tasks that ultimately served no helpful purpose. As the cherry on top of the cake, the commander was also a particularly unpleasant character. He was very certain that he was a smart guy, but listening to him for any period of time would make it clear he wasn't. As if that wasn't enough, he was also the sort who liked to swing between trying to be one of the guys and, "Hey guy, don't forget who you're talking to," when his feelings got hurt. This went on for about a year, during which time I attempted to learn my actual job from the guys in the unit. About a year after I first reported, we had a battalion training meeting about planning our annual rifle qualification range. For those who don't know, ranges like this are one of the most basic training functions that a unit can do, and even a brand new LT like myself should be able to plan one. However, instead of being involved in the planning process and doing some work, a lot of the work he should have been doing got shoved off on me. Fast forward to the meeting. All the other units on the call had given their reports before it came to us. We were in the room with a neighboring unit's command team. My commander took the hot seat and absolutely butchered the briefing. He was completely unprepared, had absolutely no idea where things stood, and completely stammered his way through. It was absolutely embarrassing to watch for everyone in the room, and the awkwardness was so thick you could have cut it with a knife. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the battalion commander asked me to get the group up to speed. I, who hadn't spoken for the entire meeting, was a nervous wreck because I didn't have much experience with public speaking. But my notes saved me because, again, I was the one who actually did a lot of the work. I doubt he got in any real trouble, but it definitely destroyed any credibility he had left in the command. I still smile about that moment to this day when I think about it. One of the big things I learned in the military and life in general, jobs, home, whatever, you can be in command of something. Being the boss doesn't mean just being an a-hole who screams and yells and wants to get his own way and pawn your work off on everybody else. It means you also have to have a degree of humility. When you're wrong, you admit it, you suck it up, you take it like a man, and you try to correct and move on. Now, this brand new green LT, he learned that, or maybe he just naturally had that inside of him, where don't show up being a dick. These guys you want these guys to perform for you, then, A, be firm but fair. B, admit when you're wrong or you don't know something. And a lot of those guys, if they're seasoned, they can teach you things from either their past experience or the experience they got, the things they saw about their old LT, none of us is beyond learning things. I learn new things every single day. Am I perfect at it? No. Can I be an a-hole? Yes. But I try not to make it a lifestyle. Just don't do that. People like that, see? That's why fragging could make a comeback. Be careful. My sister forgot my birthday. So my sister and I are always the ones to remind people about birthdays and just to be on top of the family stuff, as we all live in different parts of the country. Well, my sister totally forgot my birthday this year, so my brother and my sister never reached out. Also, my brother-in-law didn't either, but he always gets a free pass as he forgets things even after you tell him, as he's easily distracted. I waited until she finally messaged me days later. It was just a random text about nothing. I sent back a text telling her she forgot, and she called me right away and said she was an a-hole sister, and it did slip her mind completely. We had a good laugh, and I gave her a hard time. So my revenge. Her birthday is just under a month from mine. It's next week now, and I'm going to wait until 11:30 p.m. her time on the day of her birthday. I know she'll wake up and answer, so I'll get to be the one that didn't forget her birthday and also give her an interrupted sleep. Gotta love having siblings. Either that or you could wait till after midnight when it's actually her birthday. No. You're right. You would be waiting till the end of the day on her birthday. Your idea is better than mine. Never mind. It's pretty cool though. You get a little bit of pettiness, petty revenge in there without actually, totally hurting her feelings because you're still calling on the day of, you haven't forgotten, but you do get to make her pay just a little bit. Not bad. Enjoy trying to sleep. This happened about 9 years ago when I lived with my ex-boyfriend. We were both in our early 30s. Ex, Jay, was a horrible person. I found out that on top of generally being a huge gaslighting narcissist, Jay was also cheating on me and had been for at least a year of our 5-year relationship. Whilst I was in the process of growing my nice shiny spine, it took a while, but I got there, he bought me a puppy, an energetic little cocker spaniel who he would refuse to walk, feed, or even clean up after. As I was gaining the strength and courage to remove myself from the relationship, I would deliberately pack away the puppy's quieter toys, leaving her with noisy, squeaky, and heavy toys, the ones that she liked to drop down the stairs, whilst I went to work and he was trying to sleep after a night shift. When Jay started to tidy up the toys before going to bed, I would hide them in places that he wouldn't think to look, but the dog would surely find. I did eventually leave, and I never looked back, and I kept the dog. I'm pretty sure most of us have at least a little bit of narcissism, a little bit of gaslighting in us. But again, everybody goes through good days and bad days. The difference is when you're having your bad days, don't make your bad days, your bad characteristics a lifestyle. That's pretty much all there is to it. It shouldn't be your norm. Again, having an off day is one thing. Otherwise, you're just an asshole. You claim my butt was big in the green trousers? Enjoy all the green trousers. Last year, now a former friend of mine made some very rude comments about my butt in a pair of green trousers. I asked for advice on this on another sub, so you can read the entire thing from my profile if you want to. The short version is, she suddenly, and without prior context, told me to throw away my green trousers, since my butt is too big for them. She then, a few hours later, proceeded to pull up the long sweater I was wearing that day, just to check if your ass is too huge for the ones you're wearing today, she says. It was very humiliating, and she did it in front of other people, including her husband. That day I was wearing leggings that were slightly see-through, hence the very long sweater covering my butt. I've since moved on from this and made some new and better friends who are in the same knitting club. I basically dropped all the friends I had last year and have new ones now, though I do still see the old friends weekly. Why? Because we're in the same knitting club, which I became the official chairwoman of in March. Now people, and especially my new friends, noticed I didn't spend time with this lady anymore and that she was very snide to me prior to March and has since then been trying to kiss my butt. How ironic. The revenge was petty and just became better as time went on. Every Tuesday since last November, I've worn the exact pair of green trousers she told me to toss. I keep them washed and ready to wear every Tuesday night. A few of my close new friends were let in on the whole green trousers and my butt being fat, and they decided to also wear green trousers every Tuesday, and got some in the same shade of green. Being the chairwoman, a few who aren't in the know realized we were wearing green for knitting and started doing the same. For summer, 2 others even made a point of sewing green shorts so they could continue to wear green. So now every single Tuesday, this lady has to be surrounded by other women wearing green trousers, shorts, and skirts. All in the same green hue, constantly being reminded of my fat butt, which is also there in the green trousers. I thought you might like this petty revenge as I'm hanging my trousers to dry so they're ready for tomorrow. First off, I don't see anything super wrong with, pulling a friend aside and saying, I just wanted to let you know, they might be a little snug for you, whatever. But first of all, have some tact. Second of all, definitely don't do it in front of other people, especially your husband. Third of all, how fantastic that everybody else joined in, even the ones who had no idea what was going on. So basically, you've created a knitting club, and your club color is that green. Sort of like who are those old ladies that always go out and shop together once a month and eat lunch in fancy restaurants? The Red Hat ladies or something like that? Red Hat women, Red Hat society? I don't know. I'll throw a picture of them up here. And you know what would actually make those green trousers pop even more than your fat butt, is our Uncle Jon's laundry soap. So our laundry soap we make in-house. It's a powdered laundry detergent, and it comes in a 2-pound coffee tin tie bag. If you've ever seen those, they're sort of green and, earth friendly. But anyway, it's also convenient for me because most people will pour it out of the bag into their own metal or glass container where their washing station is. But if you have a high efficiency machine, you should be able to get it no less than 60 to 70 loads out of one 2-pound bag. Try doing that with a commercial detergent. So if you get a chance and you want to check out some really cool laundry soap that'll wash your really cool green pants, check out this website right here. And until the next time, we'll see you.